Hi guys, hello, welcome to my channel, and happy Valentine's Day. And to celebrate Valentine's Day, I thought it'd be really fun to do like a 24 hours of reading challenge specifically for cowboy romances. And I actually did put up a poll this morning on my Instagram to kind of get your guys' opinion on what book I should read first. So we have the very infamous Done and Dusted. I feel like so many people, like everyone that I follow, has read this already and really enjoyed it. And then we have a couple that I just kind of like randomly found while scrolling through Amazon. So we have Death Storm by Maggie Gates, which this one, by the way, is by Lila Sage. And then we also have Manhunt by Vanessa Vale. I haven't really seen anyone talk about either of these books, so I'm very, very curious to see how they go. This one, I don't really remember what this one is about, honestly, but this series just in general has some fun plots, like unique plots. Ooh, and actually, you know what? This is not a cowboy romance. It is small town, but it's a billionaire romance. So does that still count? I don't know, we'll see, because I did put up a poll, so let's see. I have a sneaky suspicion that Done and Dusted probably won just because I feel like that's the more well-known one, at least with like the people I follow. I have not looked at this since I posted it like 3 hours ago, so yep, Done and Dusted won by quite a lot. It's 75% for those and then 11 and 13% for the other two. So we will be kicking off this 24 hours of reading nothing but cowboy romances with Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. I'm actually really excited. This was supposed to be like one of my #1 books for this past summer, and I just, for whatever reason, didn't read it. She's off limits, but he's never been good at following the rules. And that jogs my memory. This one is a small town brother's best friend romance, which I haven't read a whole lot of. And honestly, I think that's all I want to know. I think I just want to get into it. Oh, also too, by the way, it's 11:24. So at like 11:30, I will start our 24 hours. And I am going to do this as like an actual 24 hours of reading. So from 11:30 today to 11:30 tomorrow is going to be our reading period. Sid, what are you doing? What's under there? It's probably a bug. I need to take off this sweater because it's getting a little hot. It's been like a little bit over an hour since the last time I talked to you guys. And I'm currently on page 66, which is the start of chapter 7. And originally I was gonna wait until I got like 100 pages in before I updated you, but I just wanted to say that this book is so cute so far. I have found myself giggling so many times. And now that I've actually gotten into the book a little bit, I wanted to kind of like talk about the plot and our characters and stuff. And we have actually met quite a few people, which I'm kind of surprised by, especially because I mean, I really haven't read that much. First of all, we have our FMC Clementine, aka Emmy, and our MMC Luke, who is her brother Gus's best friend, but she also does have another brother named Wes. And then we've also met Teddy, who is Emmy's best friend, which I love the name Teddy for a girl. I think that is so cute. Or a guy, honestly. It's a cute name. But anyway, this is very much reminding me of Chestnut Springs, and this is the first book in a series. And I'm pretty sure that those other books are going to be about her other brothers, and I can guarantee you, I'm like 100% positive that one of the books, and I'm kind of hoping it's going to be the next one, is going to be about Teddy and her brother Gus. And then I did a really bad job / didn't really explain why I think the next book, or I'm hoping the next book, is going to be about Teddy and Gus. Basically, Gus is like a very grumpy guy. Teddy is more of a sunshine personality. And then they have mentioned that he is a single dad. He has a daughter, and that Teddy gets on his nerves. So it's just like the perfect storm for a grumpy sunshine single dad book. Oh, we've also met her dad very briefly. Those are kind of the characters that we've met so far. And then as far as the actual like storyline goes, Clementine, basically, she got hurt. She's like a really famous or like well-known like horse rider. I think she does like barrel racing or something like that. I don't know exactly. But she apparently sustained some sort of injury, and basically ever since, unbeknownst to anyone else, she hasn't been able to get back on a horse. So she kind of is just like taking a break and has decided to move back home, essentially. And then we have Luke. We've gotten a little bit of a backstory on him. He was basically the bad boy growing up, and now he owns the town's bar. So that's kind of like where I'm at in the story. She's moving into a little like cabin on the 8,000 acre property that her family owns. And her and Luke have kind of had a couple of different interactions and stuff. And this last one, they're getting a little more comfortable. Like they've always kind of like butted heads, not in like an actual like mean way, but in a like teasy kind of way, because you know it's her older brother's best friend and she's like the little sister. So they've always kind of had that kind of dynamic, and they still do, but it's funny because like all of his point of views, he's just kind of like trying to convince himself that he doesn't like her. And it's just so endearing and so cute. And yeah, this has been really good so far. I knew I was gonna like it, but it's been really, really cute. So anyway, that's kind of like my update for the book right now. I'm gonna obviously keep reading, but first I need a little bit of a pick-me-up. I know we've only been reading for like an hour. It's not that late in the day even, but I don't know. I feel very like tired for some reason. I didn't sleep very well last night. So this is probably not the best day to be doing a 24 hours of reading video. Ooh, it's pink. We've got our Cherry Twist Alani Nu in this adorable freaking cup. I'm not gonna lie, I've been waiting for this video to use this cup. And the Alani Nu matches perfectly with my slippers, little cherry slippers. Then also I got myself like a little snack of some corn nuts. These are ranch flavored. I have not had corn nuts since I was a child, but they were on sale the last time we went to the grocery store, so we got a couple bags, and that was a mistake because now all I want are corn nuts. Like that is literally all I want to eat all day long. It's so funny to me how like stubbornly Emmy and Luke are both trying to like ignore the fact or like tell themselves otherwise that they like each other. Also, Emmy did just have a boyfriend that she broke up with via post-it note, and it reminds me very much of Sex and the City. Guys, this book is so damn cute. All right, it is 3:30, so it's been like a couple hours since the last time I talked to you, and honestly, I am not as far in the book as I probably should be. I keep getting distracted by Luna, first of all. But then also I've gotten distracted like by my phone and Instagram and stuff like that, so yeah. But as far as like an actual update on the book, we are about halfway through. I absolutely love the writing of this book, specifically like the inner dialogue kind of stuff. It's just so cute and funny, and I already said it before, but like I'm still like giggling throughout this entire book. One thing though, it's giving me a little bit of like a, not nostalgia because I've never owned a farm. One of my biggest like dreams slash like goals is to one day have like a little, like a cute little house on some acreage so that I could have like my own like mini farm, like some chickens, some goats, maybe a cow. I think having a cow would be fun. And then like a big garden. I want that little farm life. So it's a little bittersweet, as in like it's exciting and motivating to read these kinds of things because it's like, ugh, one day. But then also I just have been wanting that for so long, and like my heart literally aches for it, that I just feel like whenever it does happen, it's already too far in the future, you know? Anyway, that has literally nothing to do with the book, but I feel like there was something else I wanted to say, but I don't remember. Oh, just in general, this book has so many super adorable quotes, specifically like what I said a second ago, like the dialogue. I kind of wish I had started annotating for like from the jump, but now I feel like since I'm halfway through, it's too late. But I have taken a couple of pictures to like digitally annotate, I guess. Anyway, Kevin just called me. He's on his way home, so I'm gonna call him back because I think I want to get pizza for dinner. I totally planned on cooking, but since I'm like not nearly as far into this book as I feel like I should be, I kind of don't want to spend the time because it always takes me like at least an hour to cook no matter what it is. So yeah, pizza might be happening. We did in fact get pizza, and you guys, Pizza Hut has a special pizza for Valentine's Day. Is this not the cutest thing you've ever seen? I think I'm just gonna cut it down the middle. And then we also have some cinnamon breadsticks. Hi guys. It is 5:43, so I think it's been like an hour, maybe a little bit more since the last time I talked to you, and we did get some comfier clothes on. The sun is going down, I'm ready to get like snuggly, and this is going to be, I think, our final update on this book until I finish it, because I just need to read this freaking book. I feel like this is taking me entirely too long. Typically I read about 50 pages an hour, and I've read about 200, so this should have taken me 4 hours, and instead it has taken me almost 6. This is actually one of the reasons I don't do reading vlogs very often, because whenever I film myself reading, it always takes me way longer. I don't know why. But anyway, I do want to give you a quick little update on where I'm at. And currently where I'm at right now, we're in the middle actually of the very first spicy scene. And I just, I read a lot of spice, and I do feel like I'm noticing like a pattern. There's always just kind of like a system. Like they do one thing, then this thing, and then this thing. And this one I feel like is like extra obvious to me for some reason. Also, I'm kind of a little like not in it, because this is another thing that I notice about these kind of like fluffier romance kind of spice scenes, is all of the stuff leading up to the spice is super sweet and endearing and cute, but then the second they start getting spicy, things get very dominant and aggressive, and there's a lot of like dirty talk, which I don't mind. But when it's like the first time, and literally everything before that from the dude is always the dude, everything before that has been like the complete opposite, it's just very like jarring. Like I can't enjoy it as much, because it's like, who is this? Their first kiss was a good time, and I kind of wish, I don't want to give anything away, but I kind of wish that had have progressed into more in that moment. I feel like what's happening right now would have fit better before. I don't know if that makes any sense. Anyway, I'm gonna keep reading, and like I said, I probably won't update you guys until I'm done, because we need to get this done. I need to move on to something else. I'm really enjoying this, but like, we've spent so much time on this already, and I'm getting like anxious about it. We have finally finished Done and Dusted. I don't really know if I have anything beyond what I've already said to say about it. It was super cute, super funny, or not like funny, but it was just like, I don't know, I giggled a lot. The spice was honestly not my favorite. That's probably the only thing that I didn't really enjoy about it. Like I said earlier, just like the verbiage was not what I prefer in this type of scenario. I feel like the way that they were talking fits really well with like fantasy romance or erotica, but like in these kind of like fluffier romances, it just seems so out of place to me. Everything else about it I freaking loved, and as of right now, I would definitely say, I don't know, I was gonna say 5 stars, but maybe not quite 5 stars, like a 4.5. I'm trying to be a little bit more critical with my star ratings, because I feel like I just give everything 4s and 5s, but actually, you know what, we're just gonna give it a 5, because something else that this book did that I think was really cool and smart, I guess, is that it really teased the other 2 books, specifically for Gus and Teddy. I should probably actually look this up, because I'm not even 100% sure that they are gonna have their own book. If they don't have their own book, I'm actually gonna be upset. Okay, the second book is actually going to be about Ada and Wes. Wes, like I said earlier, is Emmy's other brother, and he has like a whole project that he's working on that they kind of talked about in this one, and he needed some help with that, and Teddy recommended Ada. So I knew right away that that one was also going to be a book, so that's actually going to be the second one. I swear the third one better be Teddy. It looks like it's going to, because she has red hair, and this person on this cover has red hair. Teddy and Gus. I knew it. I need to get those other 2 books like ASAP, because yeah, I'm so excited to read them. And like I said, this book did a really good job of like teasing those other 2 stories. So we're just gonna go ahead and give this a 5 star. I really enjoyed it. Now we need to move on to our next book. And originally I was gonna pick one of these ones, but I want to do one of the books from our community tab. And I kind of want to switch it up a little bit, because I am getting a little like tired of reading. So hopefully by switching from a physical book to the Kindle, it'll kind of like be enough to give me like a second wind. But also we do have another Alani Nu to try to kind of also help. But first, let's go ahead and figure out what book we're going to be reading. So the options for our Kindle Unlimited books were Smoking Gun, Cash, Holding the Reins, and Chasing the Wild. And these are all books that I found just kind of like randomly scrolling through Amazon. And again, with another landslide, we have Holding the Reins that won. And if you watched my most recent book haul, you'll know I do now own the physical copy of that book. So we are still going to read this book in this video, but again, I want to read something on Kindle first. So I was going to read like the runner-up for this poll, which is Chasing the Wild, but I looked it up on Amazon and it's like 400 and something pages, I think it said. That's just a really long book. I did a quick little like search on Amazon to try to find potentially like a novella or something like that, like something real quick, like 200 pages maybe. And I did find this one, The Witch and the Cowboy, and I think it said it was 250 pages. I'm very intrigued by the concept of a cowboy romance also involving a witch, you know? That has officially been sent to my Kindle, so that is ready to go. But before we do that, I want to try this other Alani Nu. This is the pink slush flavor. I got this one specifically because it's Valentine's Day and this is pink and I thought it'd be cute, but it's got strawberries all over it as well. So I feel like it's gonna be a strawberry flavor. I like how the cherry one was pink, but the actual pink one is clear. All right, we are starting The Witch and the Cowboy by Ryan Rowe. I think it's how you say the author's name. I actually kind of want to read the synopsis for this book before we get into it. So it says, Walker Reed is an average teenage cowboy whose only concerns are cattle and caring for his little sister. Everything changes when he stumbles upon a witch murder, and he is thrust into a world of magic and mayhem. Freya Redfern is out for the blood of her mother's killer. When she catches wind that a certain young cowboy is to blame, she casts spells now and asks questions later. After all, whether he knows it or not, he is the descendant of one of the most infamous witch-hunting families in history. Faced with Walker's obvious obliviousness and seemingly kind heart, however, Freya realizes she's been led astray. Knowing her coven will not be quick to hear his case, Freya enlists Walker to help find the real killer and clear his name. Together they fight fierce adversaries and face great betrayals. But there is one thing they cannot overcome, their forbidden feelings for one another. All right, so we have a cowboy witch hunting family and some witches. And a murder. Was not expecting the murder. I don't know if this is exactly the vibe of the book that I'm kind of looking for. I definitely went into today just kind of thinking I was gonna read like fluffy romances, and this definitely seems more adventure-y. So I don't know if it's gonna be really the vibe I'm wanting. So I think I'll give this like 50 pages or so, and then we'll kind of like reassess and see if it's what I'm looking for. Like I still definitely want to read it at some point because I'm again very intrigued by the witch cowboy kind of dynamic, but I don't know if it's like really what I'm in the mood for right now. I am just now realizing how off-center this bed is because I sleep on the other side of the bed and I always have plenty of room next to this mirror to lean on the wall. And yeah, and on this side I feel like super claustrophobic between like the edge of the mirror and the like bedside post thing. I definitely have more space on my side. It hasn't really been that long. I've literally only read 4% of the book and it's not bad. Literally nothing has happened yet. I'm really intrigued by the whole like witch cowboy concept, but I'm just not sure that that's what I want to read right now. So I did just do a little bit more scrolling on Amazon to try to find a replacement book, and I totally forgot about this book, but one of you guys actually recommended it to me in a recent video. This is Married to the Alien Cowboy, but it's like a human and alien cowboy romance. Also very intrigued by that. So I think we're gonna actually read that one instead, and I'm pretty sure I already sent this one. Yeah, it's already in my Kindle. Let's read the synopsis for this one. This is the first book in a 4-book series. It says, a quiet alien cowboy, a human woman on the run, and one very messy marriage of convenience, which marriage of convenience is one of my favorite romance tropes. In debt and on the run from a crime lord whose nose I may or may not have broken, I take the first ticket off-world that comes my way. It's an all-expenses-paid one-way trip to an isolated ranch outpost. The only catch, I have to marry an alien cowboy. My plan is simple enough: shack up with my groom, Sylar, and convince him to keep me during the first month of our marriage. As long as he doesn't decide to send me packing after the 30-day trial period, I'll be safe. But maybe my plan isn't so great after all. Sylar talks more to his animals than he does to me, seems perplexed by every wifely duty I try to perform for him, and goes to offensively great lengths to avoid touching me. Other than his eyes glowing bright white every time he looks at me, I have no idea what's going on in my new husband's head. Meanwhile, he shows me in subtle ways, wordless ways, just how good a man he can be when he thinks no one's watching. Yep, my plan officially sucks, because now it's not just my life at risk if Sylar sends me away after 30 days. It's my stupid human heart. Yes, please. Yeah, this sounds like something I'm definitely going to like. So that's what we're gonna do. Also, I do have my portion of the cinnamon sticks to eat as well, so we're gonna do that because I'm kind of hungry. I don't know how long I've actually been reading for, but we're 7% of the way through. So far, I'm liking it, although I am a little bit confused by the concept of the aliens. Basically, it kind of has described them as being convicts. They're in a certain planet or a certain area of the planet or something like that. That's kind of like, what's the word? can't think of the word, but they're in a different location from the rest of like their species of alien, and that's essentially because they're convicts, which I understand. They're like convicts, they did something bad or like several bad things. They got sent away to what seems to be like a very deserty kind of ranch of some sort where they do a lot of like work. But the thing that doesn't make sense about this is that they have also mentioned that they got sent there before they hit puberty. So like, what did these children do that was so bad that they got like exiled? Exiled is the word I was looking for earlier. That they got exiled from like their entire species. Like a child? And basically now that they're adults, they're being offered brides. And there's one specifically that is like so against the idea and he voted no. Then also on the flip side of that, there's another alien that is like super, super excited about it. Like he's jumping up in the air, literally flipping his chair because he wants to have a bride, have a wife. But as far as the alien that we have in this book, he's the one that is like the super quiet one, but it was kind of like oddly endearing and kind of like cute and silly to like actually read their thoughts and things like that during the voting process because they were like bickering and things like that and kind of teasing each other. And after they voted and it kind of like went through, the guy was like, oh yeah, and by the way, they're not our species, they're human brides. And they're like, what the fuck is a human? So then following that, their conversations trying to like figure out what humans were. Like one of them was like, they don't have tails. And the one in our story is kind of like, what do you mean it doesn't have a tail? Like that's not handy. Like does it at least have 3 arms? And then they're like, no, it just has 2. And then the other one that's really excited is like, 2 is a perfect number. Like you have like a balance between this like really skeptical one that's kind of quiet, another one that's like super against the whole process, and then another one that's just like so elated and like dreamy about it. So it was kind of like fun to like see the differences in their personalities and stuff. I don't know, I think this is really cute so far. And now I'm about to start chapter 3, which is the first chapter for our human perspective, and apparently her name is Cherry. Oh, also, I just realized, for the alien you have a little cowboy hat, but then for the human you have some cherries. I love when books have like little illustrations that are different for each character. What was a book that I read recently that did that? The Belated Prisoner series. That one had like a lot of different perspectives actually. It was mostly from a couple of different characters, but they threw in other people every once in a while, and they each had their own little illustration at the beginning of every chapter, and I love that kind of thing. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to the book. Okay, this actually does stick on your face pretty well. I wasn't really expecting that. And I do have these little extra like eyeball pieces that I think I kind of want to stick here because there's like totally some gaps next to my nose. All right, now that I look like a serial killer, let's talk about the book. I don't know how far I am exactly in the book, but not a whole lot has happened yet. They have gotten married, like the human and the alien, and that's kind of where I've like just left off, is they just kind of met for the first time and they immediately got married. And that whole process was literally so funny. Very much reminding me of the things that I liked about Ice Planet Barbarians, specifically the first book, where because they're like an alien and a human, their customs and like the way that they communicate and stuff like that are like totally different. Like she tried to shake his hand and he just like pushed it away because he didn't understand what she was doing. But then also we're kind of like adding in the fact that the alien and the human are both really nervous about this whole process. There was just so many like fun, cute little moments that had me literally laughing out loud. So I'm gonna get back to reading, stop talking to you with this on because I look crazy. And also get out of my bathroom because why am I sitting in here? Okay. Morning guys. I went from like one crazy ass face mask to another. I thought these little eye masks would be fun for Valentine's Day, but they're very bulky. Also too, I'm pretty sure that I used eye masks backwards, but I like to put them on for like my under eye bags. And if I do it the other way around, like there's not really anything covering that. So anyway, it's a little bit after 9 o'clock and I stayed up until 3 o'clock last night, and I did completely finish the Alien Cowboy romance. I can't remember what it's called at the moment. And I'm really pleasantly surprised by it because, I mean, not that I don't like spice or anything, but given the fact that it was a cowboy alien romance and the fact that it was kind of a smaller book, I just kind of assumed it was gonna be like an erotica novel, like super, super spicy, and it wasn't. there was literally only one and a half spice scenes in it. And the first one, like the main one, didn't even happen until like 75 to like 80% through the book, I think. I don't know. I'm kind of glad that it like caught me by surprise by not really having that much. Aside from that, I actually have very similar thoughts to this book that I did with Done and Dusted, where it had me like giggling the entire time. Like it was such a fun read, not necessarily because of like the banter between the actual people. I mean, that was good too, like later on in the book. But again, kind of like what I think I said yesterday with like the fact that they are an alien and a human and they have no idea what each other's customs are or like how each other speak. Their day-to-day lives are like very different. They have very different backgrounds. So having them kind of like interact was just so fun because they were stumbling around kind of like trying to figure each other out and also taking each other kind of the wrong way in the beginning. So again, it's not really the banter between each other, but it was the inner dialogue of the two characters and what they thought of the other one. It was just so cute and so fun. Also, another thing that I found really endearing was because these aliens have been sent to this exile of sorts as children and they haven't been around anyone else but each other and like a warden, they have no idea about romance, about women. Like they've hardly ever seen even a woman of their own species, let alone a human. And obviously they haven't done anything like physically with a female of any sort. So for the first like half of the book, all of these spicy thoughts that the alien was having, he was just like, oh my god, I'm the worst. Like, why am I thinking these things? I should be so ashamed of myself. Like, she's never gonna want me. It was such a good read. I highly recommend. And that being said, thank you so much if you see this, the person that commented and recommended that book to me. So good. Now that that book is out of the way, let's move on to our last and final book for this video, which is going to be Holding the Reins. And I do only have a couple of hours left to read, so we're obviously not going to finish this book. I did start it a little bit this morning, so I have some thoughts to tell you about. This one is another brother's best friend. And you know what? The beginning of this is so similar to Done and Dusted. I kind of wish I wasn't reading these back to back. I'm trying not to like think about the other book while I'm reading this one because I want to give it its own like fair shot, but the whole like beginning portion of this is almost identical. In this one we basically have Cece, aka Cecilia, and she also does have two older brothers, one of which is grumpy and has a child, and she also has a best friend that's very loud and abrasive and rubs the grumpy brother the wrong way. And then for our MMC we have Nash, who is a retired hockey player, but now that he's retired, he's working on her family's farm and working at the local bar, which when she first gets into town, her best friend drags her to, and he happens to be working that night. Literally, you guys, same exact setup. Again, I'm like really trying not to compare them as I'm reading this. And honestly, right now, if I had to pick one, I think I like Done and Dusted a little bit more, just because I feel like I liked the banter a little bit more so far. And literally, if I'm being like brutally honest, the only differences between this one and the other one so far are things I don't really like. For example, our main character, Cece, she came into town and the first like opening scene of the book is her like dildo falling out of her suitcase in the middle of the airport. And now the whole town knows about it. Like, I just feel like that is such like a cliche thing. But then also Cece has like gotten into a bar fight. So she's just like very abrasive and she's very clumsy. Like she's fallen, I think, twice already. Actually in Done and Dusted, to be fair. In the beginning when she's at the bar and first came into town, like as she's like scanning the crowd in the bar for Luke, she somehow managed to also run smack dab into his chest. Like, you're literally looking for the guy. How did you not look in front of you? And Cece in this book hasn't done that yet, but she's dropped her dildo, she's gotten into a bar fight, and she's fallen, like gotten tripped up by the dog's leash or whatever. And it's just, I know these things happen, but like, I can't remember the last time I ran into someone, like blatantly just full on ran into anyone ever, honestly, or fell over. Like I've tripped or kind of like lost my balance, but I literally cannot remember the last time I like fell. So when characters are like overly clumsy and overly just like unaware of their surroundings, it kind of bothers me because it's just like, open your eyes. So anyway, I like the story so far, but it is very similar to Done and Dusted, and the main character Cece as of right now is not my favorite. Anyway, I feel like I'm nitpicking for some reason. I like this book so far, and I'm gonna keep reading it for the next probably a couple of hours. also something just popped up that is very different than Done and Dusted, and I'm very excited about it. There's going to be a little bit of like a workplace romance kind of like roped into this as well. Even though Nash is a retired hockey player and he works at the ranch and then also is bartending at the bar, he like bought an arena and like renovated it and stuff. And she's about to go interview for a job at that arena. She's interviewing with somebody else that like works for him, so he doesn't know, but she just said like, oh, my interview's here. Come in 20 minutes to like meet her if you want. I'm excited about that, like the workplace romance kind of thing, but also I do feel like the hockey is kind of veering off of the cowboy theme. I don't know how I feel about that. Like I like it, but I was really looking forward to like more on the ranch kind of stuff, you know? Hi guys, it is time for our very last update for this video. It's basically 2:30 now. I haven't been reading this entire time. I've been kind of doing other things and kind of just reading on and off. And I'm currently on page 146. The start of chapter 24. So I'm not going to be finishing this book in this video, but as far as my feelings on the book so far, after the initial kind of like my last update, like the initial part that I read, the storyline obviously did veer off from, you know, Done and Dusted, which I feel kind of bad for like comparing it so heavily to that, but I think it's because I read it like directly after the other one. It was very, very similar in the beginning. That being said, there are definitely some differences. The whole like brother's best friend thing, when you're reading Done and Dusted, you're kind of like constantly being reminded that it's not okay for Luke and Emmy to date because he is her brother's best friend. In this one, you're not really getting that. They do talk about it every once in a while, but like the other characters, like her brothers and her friends and stuff, are hardly in the story. Whereas with Done and Dusted, I feel like they were almost equally in the story. So it made the stakes of them kind of like falling for each other higher. Whereas in this one, I don't really feel that. I'm enjoying them becoming like better and better friends because they haven't seen each other in a really long time. And he is 8 years older than her. So now they're kind of like becoming more friends and they're getting to know each other and stuff like that. And like I said, I am fully enjoying that just in and of itself, but I don't have that same kind of like, they shouldn't be doing this kind of vibe. Like there's no tension of like, ooh, her brother's gonna find out or anything like that. Whereas the other one was very present. And that's not to say like one is better than the other. It's all up to preference. Personally, I do feel like I prefer how the other one was, where it's just kind of like more involved. It kind of reminded me more of like a Chestnut Springs vibe, where just like everyone was very heavily involved in each other's lives. This one doesn't really feel like that. There is definitely that like small town vibe where like everyone knows each other and everyone is in everyone's business. But like, again, I guess it's just like the stakes of it I don't really feel in this one, whereas I did with the other one. I hope that makes sense. And then aside from that, I am enjoying that we do feel like we're getting a small town kind of vibe. There is no cowboy romance vibes. I don't even know if it says. Yeah, it does. In the very back it says, in this steamy cowboy romance. I wouldn't consider this a cowboy romance personally. Aside from the fact that they live on like a ranch, there's been no other mention of anything farm related. Oh, the other thing that just happened, we had our first spicy scene, or we're kind of like still in the middle of it, honestly. And I have the same thoughts about this that I did with Done and Dusted, where it just feels like it literally follows the exact same pattern as everything else. You do this, you do that, you do this, and it leads to this. The actual spicy dialogue though isn't as aggressive. It's very close. It doesn't feel as much like a completely different person though, like it did with the other one. I think because Nash in this one has more of like a rough around the edges kind of vibe, so it makes more sense for his character, whereas in the other one it just was like very, what are we doing? Also, this one went from like 0 to 100, which I'm not a fan of. I need there to be like a good buildup. And I mean, we are 150 pages in, but I feel like most of the buildup has been them just kind of like trying to reconnect as friends. But then I feel like as soon as they're like, ooh, I think I like her, or ooh, I think I like him, they're doing it. Which, that being said, we do still have a lot left to go. And I think with this new line that they have crossed, it's going to kind of go into like a friends with benefits, like they're going to try that out kind of a thing. That's what it kind of seems like. So I think it's going to kind of go into that more, and that's going to be like the confrontation kind of a thing. We still have some room for some tension, I think. I'm hoping. I think that was everything I wanted to say. I feel like I haven't been speaking very highly of this one, and I feel really bad about it because I have been enjoying it and I definitely want to keep reading. Like, I want to know what happens next and stuff. I like the characters. I'm invested in the story. I do like this, just in comparison to the one that's very similar that we just also read. I think I like the other one a little bit better. With that, that was my 24 hours of reading. We did 2.5 books. Not the greatest amount of books, I feel like. Sometimes I see people do these videos and they're like, oh, I read 5, 7 books. And I'm like, how? But I hope you enjoyed the video anyway. I hope you had a lot of fun kind of like reading with me. Let me know if you've read any of these books in the comments down below and like how you liked them. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Let me know. As of right now, I would recommend all of them. I think they were all good. This was such a fun little 24 hours. I hope you guys have had the most amazing of Valentine's Day, and I will hopefully see you in my next one. Bye.